The way that I usually describe myself is an engineer, because that's mostly what most of what I do is engineering. You know, when I was a kid, I didn't really have any grand designs. I mean, the reason I started programming computers was because I like computer games, and I play lots of computer games, and I learned that if I wrote software and sold it, then I could get more money and buy better computers.
You are watching Elon Dot Musk, and if you like what you're about to see, please smash that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, or leave something in the comments. Now let's get back to our topic.
So it wasn't really, you know, with some grand vision or anything. When I was growing up, I'd read lots of books, and they were very often set in the United States, and it seemed like a lot of new technology was being developed in the United States. So I thought, okay, I really want to work on new technology, so I want to get to Silicon Valley. When I was growing up, Silicon Valley seemed like some sort of mythical place, you know, like Mount Olympus or something. I tried at first to convince my parents to move to the US, but neither of them would move. They were divorced, and so eventually I was able to get my Canadian citizenship because my mom had been born in Canada. So I moved first to Canada by myself when I was 17, and then a few years later I moved to the US.
How did you decide to start your own company and give up your study in Stanford?
The reason I came out to Stanford was actually to work on energy storage technologies for electric cars. That summer of '95, I was looking at the internet, and it seemed to me like the internet was going to have a big effect on humanity. So I thought, well, I can either work on electric vehicle technology and do my PhD at Stanford and watch the internet get built, or I could put my studies on hold and try to be part of the internet. And at first I tried to get a job at Netscape because that was the only internet company, and they didn't respond to me. So then I was like, okay, if I can't get a job at the only internet company, then I better try starting something. But I talked to my professor and I said, look, I'm going to try starting a company. It's probably not going to succeed, and if it doesn't succeed, can I come back? And he said, sure, no problem. And so I put my studies on hold and started the company. When doing the two internet companies, I thought that the big car companies would create electric cars, and that would be no need for a startup company. But then I was shocked to see like the General Motors EV1, and you know, that General Motors recalled their EV1 and crushed all of the cars. I don't know if it was a movie made about it called Who Killed the Electric Car? And so it was like, wow, this is terrible. So I thought, well, if the big car companies are not going to create electric cars by themselves, then it's necessary to create a startup to do electric cars, to show that it's possible to create a compelling electric car. So we created Tesla. I have no plans to sell the companies. Yeah.
You say you're going to stay with them?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're at the dawn of a new era, and I think it's going to be very exciting. What we're hoping to do with SpaceX is to push the envelope and provide a reason for people to be excited and inspired to be human. I went to Russia to look at buying a refurbished ICVM, which is a very trippy experience. It was very bizarre. And when I tell people that, they're like, what? It'll get people really excited, and that would recharge human space exploration. That was my original idea.
You just wanted to get people interested in space again?
Yes, yeah.
Capture the imagination?
Yes. The odds of me coming into the rocket business, not knowing anything about rockets, not having ever built anything, I mean, I would have to be insane if I thought the odds were in my favor.
Why even begin?
When something is important enough, you do it even though the odds are not in your favor.
How much of your personal fortune have you poured into this?
$100 million.
$100 million into something that you did not believe would work at the beginning.
Yes. I think it's important that humanity become a multi-planet species. I think most people would agree that a future where we're a spacefaring civilization is inspiring and exciting compared with one where we are forever confined to Earth until some eventual extinction event. You know, that's really why I started SpaceX.
How did you get the expertise to be the chief technology officer of a rocket ship company?
Well, I do have a physics background. That's helpful as a foundation. And then I read a lot of books and talked to a lot of smart people.
You're self-taught?
Yeah. Self-taught, yes, meaning I don't have an aerospace degree.
So how did you go about acquiring the knowledge?
Well, like I said, I read a lot of books, talked to a lot of people, and have a great team.
When you had that third failure in a row, did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up. I mean, I'd have to be dead or completely incapacitated. If that fourth launch hadn't worked, that would have been it. We would have not had the resources to mount a fifth.
You couldn't have gone on at that point.
Yes, death would have been, I think, inevitable because we did not have the resources to mount a fifth launch.
Do you believe that your rocket will be the next American rocket to take an astronaut into space?
I believe that is the most likely outcome, yes.
There are people who've been in the rocketry business for decades who say about you that you don't know what you don't know.
Well, I suppose that's true of anyone. How can anyone know what they don't know? But
when critics say you can't do this, your answer to them is,
we've done it.
You know, there are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight and the way that you're developing it, and I wonder what you think of that.
I was very sad to see that because those guys are, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. I wish they would come and visit and see the hardware that we're doing here. And I think that would change their mind.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
Did you expect them to cheer you on?
Certainly hoping they would. Probably not the guy that most people would bet on.
Who wins?
It's like a little kid fighting a bunch of sumo wrestlers. Usually the sumo wrestlers win. We're a little scrappy company. Every now and again, the little scrappy company wins. And I think this will be one of those times.
How much more has the project cost than you thought it was going to cost?
Probably twice as much, I think, ish, thereabouts.
Are you okay with that?
Well, not exactly. I mean, I really wish it would cost what I thought it would have cost.
Does your stomach churn?
I definitely had some stomach churning moments, no question.
How much did you put into this company?
Oh, man.
Don't tell me you don't know.
No, I do. It's about $55 million.
$55 million of your own money.
Yeah, it's a little more than I expected.
When I first met you 10 years ago, this company was how many people?
We had about 500 people.
And now?
We're almost 50,000 people. So we're about 100 times larger than when we first did the interview in 2008.
I asked you back then if you were going to succeed, and you kind of looked at me as if to say, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought at the time, I thought most likely we would fail.
You did?
Yeah.
What about now?
Now I think we will most likely succeed.
Do you think that you are going to be the General Motors of the future?
I would describe it differently. I think really the goal of Tesla Motors is to help accelerate the advent of the electric vehicle. The whole point of Tesla is to accelerate the advent of electric vehicles. There's no need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school. If somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. If you look at Bill Gates or Larry Ellison, Steve Jobs, these guys didn't graduate from college. But if you had a chance to hire them, of course, that would be a good idea. How would I describe myself? I seem to have a high innate drive, and that's been true even since I was a little kid. I really had a very strong drive. I care a lot about the truth of things. If you're going to come up with some solution, then the truth is really, really important. I mean, it's difficult to obviously come up with things that are praise for oneself, or and there's bad and good here. But I think sometimes they're just the things that seem quite clear and obvious to me, and I don't understand why they aren't so obvious to everyone.
So how would you educate your 5 boys?
Actually, I created a little school. Yeah.
What kind of school? Could you describe to us?
Sure. It's small. It's only got 14 kids now, and it'll have 20 kids in September. It's called Ad Astra, which means to the stars. That's maybe a bit different from most other schools, is that there aren't any grades. There's no not grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 type of thing. I'm making all the children go in the same grade at the same time, like an assembly line.
I know.
Because some people love English or languages, some people love math, some people love music. and different abilities at different times. It makes more sense to cater the education to match their aptitudes and abilities. So I think that's one principle. Another is that it's important to teach problem solving, or teach to the problem, not to the tools. So this would be like, let's say you're trying to teach people about how engines work, or you could start by a more traditional approach would be to say, well, we're going to teach you all about screwdrivers and wrenches, and you're going to have a course on screwdrivers, a course on wrenches, and all these things. And this is a very difficult way to do it. A much better way would be like, here's the engine. Now let's take it apart. How are we going to take it apart? Oh, you need a screwdriver. That's what the screwdriver is for. You need a wrench. That's what the wrench is for. And then a very important thing happens, which is that the relevance of the tools becomes apparent. They like it.
They like it?
Yeah.
And you want to keep them away from regular schools?
No, I just didn't see that the regular schools, they weren't doing the things that I thought should be done. Like, those two principles, they weren't adhering to those principles. So I thought, well, let's see what we can do. Maybe creating a school will be better. And I actually hired a teacher from the school they were at, who also agreed with me that there was a better way to do it.
Have they surprised you in a way of their innovative thinking?
Yeah, it seems to be going pretty well. I mean, the kids really love going to school. I think that's a good sign. I mean, I hated going to school when I was a kid. It was torture. So the fact that they actually think vacations are too long, like they want to go back to school.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. The ability to attract and motivate great people is critical to the success of a company, because a company is it's a group of people that are assembled to create a product or service. People sometimes forget this elementary truth. If you're able to get great people to join the company and work together towards a common goal, and you sort of have a relentless sense of perfection about that goal, then you will end up with a great product. I wouldn't say I'm fearless. In fact, I think I feel fear quite strongly. If what we're doing is, what I'm doing is, I think is important enough, then I just override the fear.
Feel free to let us know what you think about this video. And if you like this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.